I'm tired and I need a drink.
Tired and need a drink.
You want to break my soul? I don't know why that's in my head.
Let's talk about that song.
Telling everybody. You say you don't like Beyonce?
No, I love Beyonce. I'm talking about just that song in particular.
What did you not like about it, or for you?
I just don't like it. The song as a totality. It wouldn't matter who made it. I wouldn't like it.
It's just the style of the song.
It's just not a good song. it's just not a good song. And
I like it.
I've literally never said that about any Beyonce song, and I'm nowhere near in the Beehive. I'm nowhere near a Beyonce like super fan or nothing. I just think she makes good music, but I just don't like that one. I don't like the beat. I don't like anything. Jesus, Kelly,
Huh?
are you stumping the grapes too to make the wine or whatever you about to? Jesus Christ. It's like you having a wrestling match over there.
Did y'all come up with a topic?
I'm finagling one. I'm spelling this right. Hold on. I got to spell check myself.
It's cold in my house.
Okay. So I think I'm spelling it right. Okay. That you warming up or you still dancing to Beyonce in your head?
Both. A mixture of both.
All right. Is my fan loud? Can y'all hear my fan like blowing in the microphone or anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Great. Because I didn't want to have to turn it off. All right.
Boom shakalaka.
I wasn't ready, but
you said all right.
Well, I have to pull that part up, Kelly. I was just typing in the. I mean, I'll just use what you said in the edit as the.
Oh, you editing now?
I've been editing. What do you mean?
You usually just let it play all the way through with all.
I told you that was somebody else editing when that was happening. That wasn't me. I was paying somebody else to edit because I was doing 50,000 podcasts. I couldn't keep up with all those edits. But now this is the only one I edit. So.
Oh, because the whatchamacallit is live.
Well, yeah, so I should reverse that. So I really only edit that one. This one is easier to edit because we do it on here on StreamYard. So everything, the names are up, the Instagram tags, everything is already. So it can pretty much run straight through. I just pretty much choose where we start in our opening conversation. That's it.
But you won't break my soul.
Okay, that's enough.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. My name is Root Scoop Fresh Fruit. I am your host. I'm the only person got energy here, so I got to bring it. I got to let it come through the microphone so they can feel it. We got a dragon Janessa and a hanging on Kellie.
Dragging on, hanging on, yet hanging on.
Yeah, holding on. I hear that. Well, Kellie, let's start with you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Still on summer break. I've been out running the streets the last couple of days, so I'm a little tired.
Okay.
I'm a little old. That's why I'm a little. It's like my first time sitting down in like 2 days. So I'm tired, but I've been having a good time. Summer break 2020.
I've been having a good time.
Summer
how
break.
much longer before
Yeah.
summer break is over with?
We go back to first. So I got what 2.5 weeks.
Oh, August 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You
August
did
1st.
say
Yeah.
that. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I got about 2.5 weeks.
August 1st holds a special place in my heart because simply all 4 years of college, that was the date that we always reported to training camp. Like for football,
Okay.
we literally report on August 1st every year.
Every
I
season,
don't
every year.
care what day of the week it fell on. August 1st was the day.
August 1st. Because when in college you go back, what, mid to late August? When do you go back college?
I have no
From school?
idea. I don't remember.
Hmm.
I don't remember because I always came back early. I never came back like as a regular student or whatever.
Right.
I mean, I think they came maybe the 20 something because we would be there at least 2 weeks or so before any students showed. So maybe they came back in the middle and then
Yeah,
school and then
school
classes started that following Monday or something like the third, like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be just football, band, volleyball, and cheerleaders. I think those would be the four groups that would be on there.
I was just a regular old student. No
The
efforts.
false.
So I came back with everybody else.
Well, you was well. I guess as far as coming, I about to say, well, you weren't a regular student. You was in Greek. You know, that's not.
Yeah, but still, you came on
You
back.
still come with everybody.
When everybody else come. Well, then of course, junior senior year, I had an apartment, so I was just in the streets all summer long.
But you also was in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you was technically not really going nowhere.
Right.
Gotcha.
30 minutes down the street.
When did you? What year did you play? Like, what year was it for you? Sophomore,
2008.
No, I'm saying wait.
Huh?
What year were you in college?
Junior. I was a junior.
Gotcha.
The end of my junior year.
Gotcha.
You played a sport, Kelly?
Of course not.
No, pledged.
Oh,
not
like,
No. No, you didn't miss that. No, didn't happen.
She in the Spelman archives.
Right.
Top volleyball player. We never knew it.
Didn't happen. No.
Right.
Gotcha.
Not my ministry.
That's what's up. I get it.
My ministry.
Did you go to games and stuff? Like Morehouse games or whatever?
Yeah. I would go. Yeah. To more so like football and basketball for the most part. I had a friend that played volleyball, so I would go see her play. But that's about it.
Gotcha. Did you actually watch, or were you just there for the
He's socializing? You know,
right,
gotcha. Socializing.
I think my mom said, if I'm not mistaken, I think she made it through all 4 years of college without ever attending any athletic event.
Where she go for homecoming? Was homecoming big?
I don't know.
Maybe she just tailgated.
Where did she go to school?
Northern Illinois University.
Okay.
Which is a big, PWI, but I know their football team. I don't know what they was doing back then. I mean, they ain't doing much now, but I don't know what they was doing back then in reference to something being celebratory or whatever. But maybe she went to homecoming events, just not the game. I would have to ask her. I never asked.
When I went to a PWI for grad school, I don't know if I ever really attended maybe a game. In those 3 years I was there, 6 years I was
You was at what school?
University of Delaware.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Well, clearly I went to all the tech games, so and I went to Morehouse football games, and of course Spellhouse homecoming.
Can't miss Spellhouse homecoming.
It's lit. Y'all homecoming pretty lit.
We have a good time.
I was very sad though that my tenure kind of didn't really happen.
Oh, was it over COVID?
I wanted to see my folks.
I'm sorry.
A lot of them went to Spelman or something.
No, I don't think they had like either in-person events or they were like really limited due to COVID.
Well, no, I guess what I'm saying is I thought your 10-year thing was for high school.
Oh, that's different.
Oh,
so,
gotcha.
This was the 10-year for Spelman for the class of 2011.
Gotcha.
It was in 2021 last year.
Gotcha.
And typically they do stuff homecoming, and we didn't get to. I don't even know if Kelly, did they even have people on campus?
I don't even know if they had last year.
I don't even think they had people on campus outside of the students.
Yeah, I don't even think so. Yeah. See, and I guess I had the last homecoming before COVID, 2009, 2019. Before COVID hit in 2020.
Lucky for us in our school, we have a I guess, 2 homecomings, if you will, because we have a homecoming, and then in the spring we have an alumni weekend, which is literally homecoming without the football game.
Is it graduation weekend? Like our alumni is like graduation weekend.
It's the weekend of the spring football game, like when they do.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's literally just in the spring. It's just something they started doing in our school many years ago, and it just still exists. Like it's literally just it's literally the same vibes as homecoming, but normally people choose which one they go to. A lot of times, if you don't live in the city, they don't really go to both. They just say, "Oh, I'm gonna go to homecoming this year, or I'm gonna go to alumni weekend." They just kind of go to one.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's lit. Jariana, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just tired. It was a really busy weekend. My mom turned 65 on Sunday.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah. Then one of my
I'll just say happy birthday to your mama.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Then Alexis, who actually was a guest on here before, she turned 30 on last Thursday, but she had a big party on Saturday. Okay. So I had that, and then my 15-year high school reunion was Sunday. And so I'm just, I'm tired. A whole week to recover.
Was there
party like I used to?
Was there a turn up for your mother's 65th?
So we tried to. I wanted to do a photo shoot with my mom, or for her, and she said that she gets taken so many pictures at church, she didn't want no more photo shoots. And I'm trying to tell her it's gonna be different. You're not gonna be in your church suit, different outfits, different backgrounds. And she was like, "We have different backgrounds at the church. The pulpit." I was like, the office. I was like, all right. So that ain't quite happened. And then she wants to go to the beach, but she doesn't want us. When I say us, I mean the kids to go. So
okay.
You and the kid, you as kids, like you, DJ.
And Jessica, when she was like, I want to go to the beach. And I was like, okay, cool.
She want to go with her man, honey.
And she said, not with y'all.
With her man.
And I said, oh, okay. So they supposed to be going to the beach,
With her man.
And then they were also going to go see, what is it called? The Celebrity Family Feud taping this past week.
I heard,
it's in Atlanta. They're doing it in Atlanta.
I guess so.
I heard on the radio and talking about getting tickets to it.
Yeah, they were trying to do that. So I got to check and see if they went. But
gotcha.
we tried to do some things, and she was just like, "It's either gonna be my way or no way."
At 65, that's what you can do.
Older black people love Steve Harvey now. White people too, but I'm just saying that is he has helped them from when they was in their 30s till now. Like they rock with Steve. I like Steve, but I'm saying they rock with Steve though.
They watch Family Feud every day.
Really?
Like on the CW from 7 to whatever it comes on. Like they talk to the TV screen. And then get mad when the answer isn't on there. It's like, who would have said that?
Which 100 people did they poll?
Right.
Because I would have never said.
Right.
Now some of them answers do be a little questionable. I'm like, y'all asked 100 who? Like,
right. Where y'all get these 100 people from?
Right.
But I always wonder, how do you be? I want to get a survey for Family Feud, but I always how do you? Is it just random? You just got to just randomly show up to a McDonald's day and somebody just slip you a paper like, hey,
they made it up.
Take this real quick survey and give you $5 McDonald's gift card.
Right. Where did they get this from? But okay, well that's good. I'm glad you party like a rock star.
I did. Now I'm sleepy and tired.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's cool. Well, let's get it. I'm fine. I'm here. Doing my thug thizzle. Houston was cool. Houston.
Were you funny?
That's a real question. Gotcha. No, I'm just kidding. I thought I told y'all this already. I'm funny. I'm the funny one on here. No, I was. I was funny. It was a good experience. Good weed in Texas. No, I'm just kidding.
How do you know if you're funny?
People laugh.
Well, how do you know if people really laughing or they're just like laughing just to laugh?
Well, I guess if you know them, you don't. Maybe you don't, but usually strangers don't have a reason to lie. Like people are pretty, especially I'm not famous. You know, sometimes famous people can get laughed at just because I'm a fan of yours and you could do no wrong in my eyes, but I'm not
Gotcha.
at that level. So
Yeah.
people
At that
well,
level,
not at
yeah.
that level, yeah. But I'm saying right now, anything that I get is pretty genuine, whether it's silence or laughs. They don't have a reason to lie to me or make feel good. So
Well, I'm glad you made the people laugh.
I try. It's I'm honestly I say reevaluating, but I'm starting to see comedy for more of. I guess I'm starting to see more purpose. Let me say that in comedy more than just an occupation or a career. Because I've literally had people who've never even seen me perform or nothing, but they just found out I do comedy on the plane. I even talked to a pilot who I was walking next to, and people really appreciate comedy. They be like, man, I appreciate what you do. Like you, and once again, they've never seen me. They don't even know if I'm funny. They just talking about just comedy in general, and they just talk about how everybody always, man, the world is so dark and there's so much going on, man. Like it's good people like you, you can make people laugh and stuff like that. And so as people keep saying that, it just hits me though I enjoy laughter, I never really looked at it as what it is as far as healing for the soul and stuff like that. Especially as a comedian, a stand-up comedian, like you get on stage and you're almost worried about your own ego for as far as receiving laughter, as opposed to I just bless these people. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I've kind of been shifting more into that. Like even when I pray before I get on stage, like my biggest thing and first thing is really, allow me to give this particular audience what they need. You know what I'm saying? Because every time the audience is different. You know what I'm saying? You can perform 2 shows back to back with the exact same jokes. 2 different crowds. So you don't know how it's gonna go. It could go well the first time and terrible the second time, or vice versa. So every crowd is different. So that's why I pray specifically, like the people that are in this specific audience, I do want to make them laugh for my own ego, because I don't want to do bad. I want people to like me. But I also want if it's meant to have some type of breakthrough or some type of release, some type of, even if I'm just making them forget about their problems for 30 minutes, I'm cool with that. Like I dig that. So cool. Yeah.
When you come back to Atlanta
for a show, I don't know. I just have to plan it, because I'm also in a phase of a lot of shows, especially I do in Atlanta, Tampa, places that I've lived. It'd be full of people who I know and grew up with and whatever, and I'm trying to promote my shows more.
Beyond us.
No. It's just that you guys are, I'm fortunate enough to be able to say you guys will always be there. And so in order for me to grow, I'm going to convince strangers to support me the same way that my loved ones do. So I'm just promoting more to strangers and people I don't know, as opposed to going through my Rolodex and,
Gotcha. Understood.
Just a little change, a little stepping outside of the comfort zone, but it's just necessary. Because other than that, I'm gonna be doing comedy 20 years still. Kellie, you gonna come to the show?
Yep, I'll be there.
You said Compton?
Yeah.
Now let me tell you, the reason I will come to Compton is because that's where Lionel's family's from.
I didn't know you said Compton. I didn't say Compton.
Oh, what did you say?
I was like, where Compton come from?
That's like my comedy show.
Oh, I really, the audio over here is crazy, y'all. Like, I swear, I was like, what?
I didn't realize you said Compton when you said. I thought you asked me did I say comedy, but no, I didn't say Compton. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it's the sound. It's a little sketch over here.
It's all good. We can go to Compton. I'm with it.
Let's go.
I'm definitely with it. All right, cool. Well, yeah, that's my life. So the topic that I put out of my ass for tonight, which I think we've brushed over this before, but I figure we can chit chat about it for a few minutes. So I have you sing gospel and secular, and obviously I'm not talking about us because we're not singers. I'm saying gospel singers. And yes, I know we know some that do, but I'm saying in the sense of, is it right? Is it wrong? If or does the church just look at it wrong? And if so, why so? But people who, because and I guess the another part to where this question comes from is because, not that I've attempted to do this, but I do feel like I would definitely get pushback if I was like a pastor and a comedian. And I'm not talking about like doing Christian comedy. I'm saying doing secular comedy, but then also, preaching. I'm pretty sure like it would be a little pushback. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, I've spoken to like our like drummers and stuff that used to play at New Beginning. Was always fond of drummers. And I remember them even like having conversations with me before I could even understand it. And it was like, hey man, I know, we probably ain't supposed to, but like, I be playing in, nightclubs and stuff, cause this is how I make a living. I played it like they play drums like in nightclubs and whatever case may be, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really get it when he was saying it, but in hindsight, I understood like, oh, he was talking about the perception that, or, maybe even if bishop or another minister or somebody knew, maybe they would look at him crazy, but I don't even think I even understood something was supposed to be wrong with that at the time. And then you even look at the movie Fighting Temptations, Beyonce's character dealt with that. You know what I'm saying? They like you singing in the clubs and singing. So it's not even so much just about just singing in the clubs, but I'm saying even singing secular music. Like, can you do the secular as well as present the gospel through song?
Hold on, my mama calling me.
Hey, mom. Y'all both on mute.
All right.
Janessa, you on mute, Janessa.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I was saying I was trying to do a little research real quick because Kirk Franklin actually about 3 weeks ago did an interview on the Breakfast Club, and he talks about that very thing, like secular artists making Christian music. And I didn't want to misquote him, but if memory serves correctly, and I will definitely go back, and if I misquote, I will correct it.
Correct.
But if memory serves correctly, like his perspective was that, sometimes people, those same secular people who make Christian music, help people where they are in a way that I guess maybe a Christian artist may not have been able to reach said person who's listening to the music. But at the same time, though, it's for gospel singers, or at least it should be more about ministry. And that's the part that kind of, I don't quite remember what Kirk Franklin said, but that's the part that I feel like personally is where it gets murky. Because then after you do your gospel album or your gospel song and you go back to your secular music, then you may be causing them same people or other people to stumble. And so like, whose responsibility is it? Is it, that's a whole other conversation. Like, are you just responsible for yourself, or people who are in authoritative or influencing positions, do they have some type of responsibility to lead in a certain way or be responsible with their platform?
Right.
And I think something else Kirk Franklin said was that a lot of times secular artists will make inspirational music, but not gospel music. And he said gospel music specifically spreads the word of God, spreads the love of Jesus, spreads the good news of salvation.
Mm.
But there's a lot of songs that sound, they might have some churchy tones, you know,
Mm-hmm.
organ or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but they're actually inspirational. You know, I Believe I Can Fly is inspirational. It's not saying Jesus died for our sins. If you believe in him, you will not perish, but you will have everlasting life. Like,
right.
And so then there's that conversation, you know, inspirational versus gospel.
What about Jesus Walks?
I don't know.
What about
I don't know.
what about Jesus
I don't
Walks?
know.
Huh?
I don't know. Can't be at it.
And you know, I think it's all difficult. So I remember us talking about Kirk Franklin. What was his scandal or fiasco that he had? His son had recorded a conversation. He was cussing him out or something like that. So I wonder. I guess a difference in it all, you know. So I've heard Stomp in the Club.
Yep.
You know, and Kirk Franklin is a gospel artist, a great gospel artist, you know, but also has been very secular in his actions in terms of his response to whatever the situation was with his son. So again, to Janessa's point, when you talk about responsibility, where does the responsibility lie for gospel artists to continually perpetuate the gospel? I don't know. That may be the wrong choice of words, you know, but I don't know. So it's difficult. Like I was talking to somebody the other day too. Jasmine Sullivan is one of my favorite artists of all times. And when I tell you she will bring me to tears and my hand is raised on some secular, like on some the man broke my heart, he toxic, about nothing.
Right.
And I said just last night, like, man, Jasmine put out a gospels album, I would be tears laid prostrate on the ground, you know, as a secular artist. But then, right, does she go back and talk about? She has a song talking about she got the best private area in the world, you know? So then, right, so then how does that work? I think that Jasmine Sullivan's voice is truly anointed, and can go into any church and knock everybody out, right. But then does she go back on stage the next night and talk about, you know, having sex and?
But does she actually sing gospel songs? Or are you just saying
No,
it's because of her voice?
She needs to. Yeah, she does.
Right. Got she just needs.
She didn't need to. She just. I just feel like. I mean, I love her secular music, but the Lord has anointed her voice on it. But she doesn't, you know. But like I said, I don't know. So I don't know. It's hard, especially when you throw in the word responsibility and what responsibility a gospel artist has, especially when they live in a secular world. So I don't know. Like I said, because I can also see where you can have other people, like I said, misstep. Because, you know, right, Jesus walks with me. Never, that's a terrible example.
But even to your point about just say Jasmine or whatever, like, so she has the anointed voice and so on and so forth, but she doesn't sing gospel. Okay. But I'm pretty sure a lot of gospel singers listen to secular music. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm pretty sure some have probably even attended, you know, who Beyonce's concert, whoever. You feel what I'm saying? Maybe even, you know, Tasha Cobbs did a song with Cardi B, or had, you know, Nicki Minaj, and had her feature on, you know, on her song. It was a gospel song. Like Nicki did gospel. It's not like Tasha Cobbs converted over, but I'm saying, like, so there's definitely the two worlds definitely intersect. You know what I'm saying? And then you can even, you know, definitely a lot of secular songs have been made off of just say church, you know, older church songs, older church rhythms and organs and whatever the case may be. But I don't. So obviously, some people just don't care because, I mean, you even have like a PJ Morton who has done both. You know what I'm saying?
I think he just put out his last album, or the album before his last one, was a fully gospel album.
Gotcha.
And then the album he just released is back to his normal stuff.
Right. So it's a so like I said, so there is people who are doing it, but going back to that word, go ahead, Kelly.
No, but I guess speaking of PJ Morton, does it matter what you're singing about? So right. PJ Morton, and I'm regrettably not the biggest PJ Morton fan, but he sings mostly about what, love and relationships, and like he's not out here calling women bees and hoes and talking about sex and money and this and that, is he?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily, if he does sing about it, it's not in a very in your face way. Okay. Like one of my favorite songs is from his very early days. The line says, "Why can't I talk about love when that's what God, I think, if that's where God comes from." And it did get me thinking, like, you know, I guess to his point, people were telling him he couldn't sing R&B because it was not of God, but God is love. So what is it? And so he kind of speaks on things like in that type of way. But is he about to be like, F-U-B, slap that, right. Like, drop it? No.
And I think that may be, I think that may be where confusion may be, where you may have some confusion with people. Like I said, where you have those artists that are F-U and B's and, you know, sex and drugs and Glocks and this and that and whatever, and then go see the gospel. Like I said, but you have an R&B artist singing, like I said, not necessarily about the love of God, but loving, you know, a woman being in a relationship. I know he got a nice little jam, something about some peace. You know, that type of stuff. I don't see anything.
But is it a choice of words or is it the context though? Because you can, just like in comedy, like, you know, a lot of times people think clean comedy is because you're not using profanity and stuff like that. But I can speak about vulgar things without using profanity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can talk about a woman like she's a bee, even if I don't call her one. You know what I'm saying? Or I can talk. And the reason why I'm asking that is because what if, like, just say, you know, a singer or pastor or whoever, you know, this man or woman of God, let's say like they made a song about, you know, making love to their husband or wife, right? You know what I'm saying? And just say, let's say the song was encouraging, like, you know, get married first. Once you get married, then you can tear that ass up type thing. Like I'm saying, like would they be looked at as inappropriate because they're now married? You know, they're married. They're a married person talking about sex. Because somebody can make the argument, but you're gonna lead all the single people astray because they hear you talking about, you know, hitting it, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
pastors talk about sex from the pulpit. I mean, I know a lot of pastors stray away from sex, but pastors talk about sex between two married persons in the pulpit. So why would it be any different for a gospel artist to talk about sex between a husband and a wife?
I feel you, but at the same time, going back to that responsibility, I never forget. I don't remember the dude's name, but I remember there was a young mister. He was like 18 or 19 years old at the Full Gospel conference, one of the Full Gospel conferences. This was the first one I went to. It was in Detroit. It was in Detroit, right? And we were in one of the sessions. I guess it was supposed to be age appropriate. I don't think I should have been in there, but but they were talking about masturbation, right? But he's young, so he was calling it like the lotion bottle. He was just saying, like, you know, you're gonna be out here weak, and you're gonna resort to the lotion bottle. And like, I just remember the whole room erupting, like laughing or whatever. He was laughing, whatever. And I didn't know what that was. I'm like, what's the lotion bottle? Like, what does that even mean? Well, lo and behold, I got introduced to the lotion bottle through church. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's just talking.
And then is that where you started masturbating?
I don't think it was that same day, but I don't think I left that surface. Let's get back to the hotel quick. They got good lotion. I don't think it happened that day, but my first encounter with masturbation definitely came from church. Because I had no idea that was even a thing. I didn't know nothing about that. And mind you, I'm like, I had to be at least, because you got to be old enough to go to the conference. I was at least probably 10 or something, 11, 12. I don't know. But I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't experienced in that. I didn't even know that was a thing. So once again, is that guy's responsibility, you know what I'm saying, for making me, you know, find out about the lotion bottle, or was he just having a conversation amongst, you know, because it was teenage. I think it was supposed to be like maybe a 12 to 18 thing.
Well, you were too young. You weren't supposed to be there.
That's what I'm saying. But see, there are some 12-year-olds, you know, who ain't even virgins. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I think they probably were thinking, you know, 12-year-olds or whoever probably would at least, because I really felt, I don't know, but I really felt like I was the only person in the room who was not up on game. Like, and you're talking about at least a room full of 50 plus people. You know what I'm saying? And I felt alone.
And I think the hard part with youth ministry in general is that want to be relatable, is that want to be honest and transparent about what's going on. I feel like in your situation, well, I feel like in all situations with youth ministry, they probably walk that line of, how am I honest? What do I say to be honest? And then what do I shield? Because the reality is that between 12 and 18, men masturbate, you know, young boys masturbate, you know, and so I guess he was coming from let's not hide the fact that this is a natural occurrence developmentally that happens. But for you, it was just a bit before your time. But you would have, and I guess on one end, you would have eventually found out about the lotion bottle. You would have eventually started to touch and play with yourself, or, you know, or whatever. That's what young men do. That's what young women do. You know, men at a greater rate. But when you're
young, and then when you get older, that's it. When you're young, but when you get older, it's the women that's at a greater rate. They start getting bullets and roses. Oh
my goodness.
So we'll go back to 12 and 18 young men.
We can go back there. I just want to make it clear that grown women, though, grown women get it in.
We didn't steer it off somewhere. Got lost.
but definitely young for sure. We're definitely,
you know. So I wouldn't even. I think I don't. So I would say in that situation, he didn't do anything wrong, because I also, when you brought up the question, it's not really about music, but I thought about, what responsibility does the church have to address what's going on culturally?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think we talked about when, like, Kevin Samuels passed away, and New Birth News pastor
Jamal Bryant,
yes, made the comment about, you know, about him, you know, or don't let men tell you that you're too old or too big or whatever to find love, or, you know, is that the church responsibility to talk about what's going on in the world? Is it the church responsibility to talk about premarital sex, or is it masturbation, or, you know, is that the church's responsibility to talk about? Because it's not Jesus died on the cross for our sins. It's not the 10 commandments. It's not, you know, his miracles. It's not those type of things, but is that the church responsibility? My mom did like a women's workshop the other week, and women came up to her and was like, hey, can we talk about menopause? Is that the church responsibility to talk to, you know, but that's something in our natural world and secular world or whatever that happens to all women. Is that the church's responsibility to address? Do we have to just stick to the 66 books of the Bible? What's between Genesis and Revelations? Can we talk about what's real in the world, or is that too secular?
It's a good question, because I think I mean, I when I hear some gospel rappers now, I don't necessarily know their names, but I've heard some that I feel like, they be spitting, but like even their message will have a lot of, or even preachers. I mean, it's a lot of past tense. Like if they do talk about smoking weed or drinking or whatever, it's all about like, this is what I used to do, but God, took me from it or whatever. But what if there's somebody who's like currently there?
Right.
But and they sing, they lead praise and worship every week. Everybody look at them as anointed or whatever like that. Like if they end up dropping a song about struggling, you know what I'm saying? Like every time, who is it? Every time I try to do right, evil finds. Who's that? Paul or somebody? Peter?
I don't know.
Janessa is about
Lord have mercy. Okay, we are the worst ones.
But no, this one.
But I'm saying, but if somebody, if he or she went and made a song that compared to that, not that they're quoting that scripture, but it's about that message. Like I'm out here, singing and worshiping and leading, whatever like that. But these women or these men, they be in my DMs or, and it's hard to, like, if they made a song about that, would they be wrong? Because it's their truth.
That's the truth. Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
The life that so many people live. Or the young lady in the tight fitted dress in the choir. I'm never gonna let that go. Because I aspire to be her. But that's real.
Right.
So do you talk about, like you said, people in your DMs or, you wear this tight fitted dress in the choir or on your Instagram page and people talk, but that's real life. So in the church, because that's secular or not Genesis through Revelations, do we not talk about it?
And even going back to the whole gospel singer listening to secular, like us, like, the initial point, you couldn't like sing gospel and then, so you couldn't make a Yolanda Adams record and then make WAP, right?
Right.
But us as every day or every week or whatever you want to call it, like avid churchgoers, Christians, all the above, we consume both. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and even at appropriate times, like obviously, even if you married, you ain't smashed to Yolanda. You know what I'm saying? Like you going to pull out the sinful stuff, quote unquote. You feel what I'm saying? Like the love making music. Now you're not necessarily in the wrong, but you're definitely supporting the wrong person, if you will. You feel what I'm saying? Like, or even before like a football game, you know what I'm saying? Like I may listen to something that's more aggressive or whatever the case may be, as opposed to listening to worship music. Right now, there may be somebody who may listen to worship music ever like before they play football, but I'm saying most people, to get yourself in that mindset of doing damage to another grown man, like you have to be in a certain place. Like I said, if you're having sex, even married, it's still, you still are setting a certain atmosphere, setting a certain mood, and you're not doing that with. But now at the same time, when you either need a release, need to worship, or or you thanking God for something, or maybe you're on your way to church, and maybe you about to do something at church or whatever, like you do gospel and you set the mood and set the tone for that.
Right.
So I feel like it almost seems like both are necessary, but the church in which I feel like we were all brought up in, and not the specific building, but I'm saying the mindset of the church we were brought up in, is that if you do both, even now, if you do both, you're wrong. But as consumers, we can do both. You feel what I'm saying? Like even when it comes down to movies, like people, if somebody, like when people used to ask me about, like, you used to preach and now you cussing and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, but you watch, whatever your Baby Boy, you watch, Wait Next Day, you watch Power, you watch, like, so you trying to tell me it's okay to watch The Sinners? You know what I'm saying? You can consume that, but but it's a problem if I do it. And what I'm saying is, if it is a problem when I do it, then I think it should be a problem across the board. Right. That, you know what I'm saying? That's always my whole biggest thing. Like, why isn't it an across the board thing? Why are you picking and choosing what's okay and what's not based off of, you know, your own personal delights, I guess, if you will.
And I think it's to your point that it should be across the board, because I do think that there's a lot of double standard things in the world. And then when it's time to really address them, nobody ever wants to really address them. Right. But I think also with music specific, since we're talking about that, like Cardi B, if she made WAP and then made remix Open My Heart, you know, it would be probably a lot of pushback and all these things. But I can sing Stomp in the Church and then get in my car and listen to Gucci and nobody even know. You know, like the spotlight kind of isn't there, you know. And so I think more people today don't care if you know that they listen to gospel, like Righteous and Ratchet. But I think there definitely has been a time period where people fronted like all they listened to was gospel. And that's not the case. You know, there's actually a lot of artists who we probably are in interviews or people are like, yeah, my mama would never let us listen to anything. Yeah, listen to this, stuff like that. So yeah, you know, I just sometimes think it has to do with that aspect too. Like, you can hide it on an individual basis, like on an individual level, you can hide more than like these celebrities or influencers or pastors or whatever. And so they oftentimes get a lot of pushback. But to your point, if we really try to have that conversation, it shouldn't matter if you have a platform or not.
Right.
You know, everybody should be held accountable to the same, whatever it is.
Right. And once again, going back to the whole responsibility thing, like I don't see, it's hard for me to the responsibility word is hard because I feel like I guess it's the rock and the hard place between living truth and causing somebody else just say to slip and fall. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if your truth is your truth, then I don't know if you can really help that. You know what I'm saying? And I also don't feel like you should miss your deliverance because you're trying to hide. Like there's pastors and preachers, and I'm sure even probably gospel singers, you know, who've committed suicide before. You know what I'm saying? Or who've you know, overdosed on drugs or whatever the case may be. But when it happens, it's this big shock, like, oh man, like this person. But that person could never technically true deliverance. Who they gonna tell? You know what I'm saying? Who are they able to tell without judgment? Who are they able to tell that, you know, and get actual help? You know what I'm saying? Without it being some type of, you know, scrutiny. Especially once you get that, you know, that platform. Like when you're a pastor or whatever, like it's almost kind of like us being little kids looking at our parents. Like when we get older, you realize, okay, my parents are just human beings. You know what I'm saying? They make mistakes, they make bad decisions, they whatever. But when you're a kid, your parents are superheroes. They know everything right. They don't do anything wrong. Whatever they say goes, even if it's just because they said so. So it's almost the same thing when it comes down to pastors or even gospel singers or whatever. Like I honestly be thinking about the who are they called? The Walls Group, you know, like when they were coming up, or even the Jacqueline Carr, like the different. I used to think about them in the sense of like, well, they got to have some pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like, as you in this spotlight as this gospel, whatever like that, like you can't be out here with the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to already be on your Kirk Franklin, you know, before the phone call, the you know, the whatever. Like you got to be there. You know what I'm saying? Even as a teenager, going through puberty, going through hormones, going through high school, going through, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that, once again, that responsibility thing, it's tough because it's, to who much is given, much is required. So maybe there is more required of you, but if your reality is your reality, you know, how do you truly get healing from that if you can't ever really face it, because you have to spend so much time hiding it to make sure people still feel you're anointed enough to do what it is, you know, that you do. Now, even going back to what you said earlier, Kelly, like, you know, maybe it's the messaging, it's the words or whatever, like, you know, should somebody who sing gospel per se go out and, you know, drop every, you know, profane word possible? Maybe not. But then again, I argue if that's where they at, you feel what I'm saying? Because if Kurt Franklin would have dropped something that at some point in time prior to the hidden phone call, I don't think we would have been as shocked. You feel what I'm saying? Man, I wasn't that shocked. I just didn't really care. But I don't think the shock factor is there if you realize, like, you know, I don't know. I guess I just feel like this whole Christian walk, it's a forever going thing. Like, there is no, you know, perfect time to be like, okay, I'm the 100%
right,
you know, Bible version of the whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always something to be worked on, even if it's not considered a big sin or even a sin at all. If you may have attitude issues, you know what I'm saying? But once again, I feel like if you making gospel music, but you also making music that say, like, sometimes I cuss people out, I think that takes the pressure off of you, that if somebody catch you in a viral moment, they recording you in Walgreens with you walking on the back of your shoes and you cussing out somebody, rightfully so, but you cussing them out. They're like, oh man, look at such and such. I thought she was a, but maybe that perception isn't there if you already really know who I am. Now, if you 100% gospel, God, you know, you live next door to Jesus and that's just you, that's fine. I'm not saying that person can't exist, but most of the people out here are having to live double lives because of perception. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think it's no different from us. I mean, I think it, well, and I speak for me, but you know, being a preacher's kid, being a preacher's kid. No, I'm not on a national level like a Tasha Cobbs or a Walls Group, and you know, and people aren't listening to my music. But right, the thought that I have to be this person, because what responsibility do I have to Berean that the preacher's daughter is this way? Where I think I've learned at this point where that it's that I have to be safe and secure in who I am and where I am. And there are some places where I do immaculate and the Lord would be proud, and there's some other places that I'm still working on. And I have to be comfortable and okay with where I am in life. And I think that's where pastors and gospel singers and all of them have to be okay as well. Because in my personal opinion, do I feel like you can sing gospel and secular? Yes. I think you can. I think the hard part comes in except when you bring in that word responsibility to others and how others perceive you and how they live their lives based on what they perceive in me. Where I'm not the model. Tasha Cobbs isn't the model. God is. Jesus is. You know, and people get so caught up in making man the model, and that isn't the model. You know, but of course, when you find people immature and young in Christ, you know, they don't know that. They just say, oh, well, such and such cheated on her husband, or such and such had sex before marriage, or such and such smokes or drinks or gambles or do whatever. So I must be, and they're in the church, so I must be able to do this too, and it must be okay. I think it's a point where, you know, you gotta, again, let them know that I'm not the, like, how many scandals do we know about pastors?
Too many.
Tons of them. Every single one of them. So my dad is perfect. He's not perfect.
Right. Right.
He is perfect, but he's not perfect.
Right.
So like I said, it's a lot. So I feel like you can do both. I think, like I said, the hard part for me and the breakdown for me comes in when you talk about responsibility. In what responsibility do gospel singers have to other people? And they don't. And I think some people respect it. Speaking of Kirk Franklin, I think some people respected Kirk Franklin more that he cursed out his son. Some people are like, oh, okay.
Right.
Is this what we can do?
Right.
Maybe I am a better Christian than I thought. I ain't doing too bad,
Right.
And other people who want to be holier than thou, how dare Kirk Franklin? He sings about this and that, and then he goes and you know what I'm saying? But none of us are perfect, so I don't know. I think it's a difficult question. But I say this: I sing gospel and secular, not musically, but I'm gonna turn on some gospel and I'm gonna turn on some secular too.
Right. Well, you already shouted out Jasmine Sutherland, so we know.
Oh yeah. Beyonce, You Can't Break My Soul, Mariah Carey, Usher. And this is a random tidbit, but I also remember this too as a part of your question, and not sure, I'm not even gonna say it was right or wrong, but even back to the youth ministry piece and being relatable, I remember for years Berean's youth conference was secular songs that we changed the words to make them gospel. Yep, in my white tee, wait till you see my praise. Like again, trying to meet kids where they are and bring them in. But look, 10, 15, 20 years later, you still, remember it.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a way to do both. I feel like in all of our examples, PJ Morton may be the best example, especially coming from a pastor background in his family. But yeah, I feel like you can do both.
I mean, I'm even once again, even going back to the messaging of the song, like I'm even thinking about some of my favorite songs that I listen to that completely not gospel. But the messaging, you know what I'm saying, it's powerful and necessary, and like so one of my favorite songs, and I'm nowhere near like a huge Jay-Z fan at all, but I loved his song and the music video, The Story of OJ, right? Like and he cusses throughout the whole thing. But he's literally talking, first of all, he's talking to black people. I don't know if y'all heard this song before, but he basically is telling you like whether you're a real nigga, a fake nigga, a house nigga,
I have heard that.
You still a nigga, like you still black, you know what I'm saying, like and so and then he even talks about different things like what's more important than throwing money in the strip club? Credit. You know what I'm saying? You want to know how like but once again he's cursing throughout this whole thing. But to me, this song is beneficial, especially to the current state, even more than wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. You feel what I'm saying? Like his eyes on the sparrow. I don't even know what that means to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always heard it, but I have no idea what that means. You know what I'm saying? But if I sung that as opposed to The Story of OJ in the church world, I'm looked at as more whatever. But once again, I'm not saying wade in the water, and that song was probably relevant at the time it was made. But I'm saying right now, and I'm not saying this for all gospel songs, but I'm just making the point with these two songs, like a secular song versus a gospel song. Just because one is secular and one is gospel isn't the determining factor of what is helping me. It's the message in the song. You know what I'm saying? It's not the genre. You feel what I'm saying? And once again, you're talking about a song that's using, profanity. Another one of my favorite songs, by J. Cole. One is No Role Models, one is Wet Dreams. Both of them, he cusses in both of them. Now, Wet Dreams is, I don't know if it's necessarily like an inspirational song, but it's a very dope song about him talking about, when he first met his girl and lost his virginity as a 16-year-old. But it's a creative way of of him talking
That's
about
not gospel.
No. I'm not. Once again, I'm not saying that particular song is gospel or inspirational. But I'm saying, but it's a dope song to listen to. Like he's literally telling a story. You know what I'm saying? And the metaphors that he's using and all this stuff, because it's basically talking about how like the girl wrote him a note, and so he was acting big and bad, like he had sex before and all this, whatever like that. But then when it came time to do it, she had never done it before either. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they both was like flexing in front of each other. That's a real life situation. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I necessarily dealt with that when I lost my virginity, but I've definitely dealt with that in whether you're talking about dealing with women, whether you're talking about comedy, whether you're talking about football. Like, I've had people, you know, they test your willpower, your whatever, how good you are in this particular field. And then the way questioning you think, well, they obviously must be, you know, the man or the woman in this situation. And you find out either you got more experience than them, or, you know, y'all both got the same amount. Once again, is that gospel? Is it life or death? No. But even with that song having profane words in it, I don't look at it as, you know, this hell-bound, you know, song, or, you know.
It's interesting because it's talking about sex before marriage, but okay.
Yeah, as a teenager at that. Right. But what I'm saying is, but if I'm 15, 14 and I've never had sex before, sure. Now we have an argument. For somebody who lost their virginity around this same time he's talking and dealt with similar stories, there's nostalgia for me. I connect. You know what I'm saying? It's a fine line.
I was gonna say, I think just a little bit deeper, like on a deeper level, conversation that a lot of people aren't really willing to have. We need to reevaluate how we learned God, how we learned church to begin with. Like, because I think some of these questions and conversations that we are having, you know, I think to your point, Rudy, is like, sometimes we're arguing words and lyrics and stuff, but what exactly is it that God is looking for in this? Like, what if really what God is looking for is that people are saved through, you know, certain means or any means or whatever. And we're over here nitpicking on, well, you didn't say, you know, all these things in the song, or you didn't say it the right way. You didn't have enough organ. You didn't have enough background choir vocals. We're nitpicking on like all the wrong things.
Right.
And I just kind of think, I know for myself personally, going through this season of unlearning some things, especially when it comes to religion and church, has been a process for sure. And so I don't know the answers, because I feel like the world has been operating in a certain way for so long. And like some of the things that we're talking about or feel or experience are like things that have been ingrained in us. You know what I'm saying? Like Sunday after Sunday, youth conference after youth conference, Bible study after Bible study, like certain things have been ingrained in us. And those same things have been ingrained into the next generation and the next generation. And you know, I don't know how we change that course from not just doing things because that's the way they've been done to actually really getting to understand and know things on a personal level and for ourselves.
Right.
So that's like a whole other can that I don't have the energy or time. But no, I think it's part of the conversation.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that's why it's even easier for people to go, I guess, attach themselves to other things that appear just a God-like, but I mean, it may be, I don't really know, but there's it's also, I guess, pushback against it. Like, so, you know, a lot of times instead of using the word God, people will say energy, or people will say, you know,
the universe,
you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, you use whether it's incense or the different woods or the different stone crystals, whatever like that. And once again, I don't know if these things work or not. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not here to debate that. But what I'm saying is that because of the ingrained stuff and the harsh stuff, it makes people lean to those type of things. You feel what I'm saying? Like, because I think there is some level of truth to what was presented at a certain time, but to your point, Janessa, I mean, I just think it needs to be some relearning, some re-evaluating, some real repentance, which is rethinking. I know a lot of times people just only focus on the forgiveness, but repenting is to rethink something, to rethink the same thing, different way. I agree wholeheartedly. I think we need to, as a church, especially in the Black church. I don't know if churches are doing it differently. When you go to Iglesia, Spanish churches and stuff, but the niggas, we definitely been programmed, and might need to fight against it a little bit. All right. Church announcements.
All righty. You can find us on Instagram at The Worst Ones PK. We've had some discussions lately. Yeah, we talked a lot lately about Instagram. So new things are coming. I promise. I can promise you that. Also, every Tuesday, new episode drops. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you can find your podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, look us up. The Worst One. That's not on the screen. Let me make sure I said, yep, The Worst Ones Podcast. I was going to make sure I was right. The Worst Ones Podcast is what you type in to find us. When you get there, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 5,500,205 followers. We love you very, 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 very much. We appreciate your continued support. To find me personally, Princess Kels 51. It is private.
There you go. All right.
You can find me at Melanated Brews for all things coffee, tea, and beer. We sometimes have fun over there. And then you can find me at JRihanna__ for my personal page. And it's crazy because I really don't update either. I think I'm turning into Kellie, except that my page is open. That's different. But yeah, I just don't be on social media like that.
There you go. We're waiting on you, Kellie. You ain't had a phone call during the podcast in a while. And then shout out Terry Wayne in his absence. Terry Wayne Comedy on all his social medias is where you can find him. Hopefully he is rocking out with his cock out at the show. It's just a figure of speech. Hopefully he doesn't get canceled and actually pull it out. But nonetheless, shout out to all the gospel singers out there. You know what I'm saying? Keep living your double life. You feel me? Keep high in the dark and do God's work. You know what I'm saying? And we'll be the worst ones, and we'll do our dirt out open. At least I will. Oh, you got dirt. Oh.
I'm perfect in every way.
Tricked her. All right,
Top of the world.